what you need to do to make yourself safe. If for some reason our power goes out during this presentation, we will reschedule it at a later time. So before, I just wanted to let you guys know that some basic groundkeeping things that we're doing here today. So before we kick it off, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Ted Gutierrez. I'm the State Director for the Virgin Islands Small Business Development Center. And I'm very, very pleased to finally get the opportunity to join and be a part of this webinar. Many times I get pulled away doing different things, trying to build and strengthen the SBDC here in the territory. But I'm very honored and humbled to be here today. Real quick, before I turn it over to Mr. Kopach, I did want to say that I don't know if everyone on here is aware, but I do want to let you know that we're very proud of the fact that the Virgin Islands SBDC is the '1 resource for entrepreneurs and small businesses in the territory. Of course, prioritizing those small businesses who were affected or who continue to be affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. From January 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021, the SBDC, its business counselors and its contractors have met with more than 850 clients, spent almost 5,000 hours of one-on-one advising, and assisted with over $22 million in capitalization for their businesses. And as a result, we've helped support over 2,650 jobs. Not only that, but our wonderful team at the SBDC, Mary Jo, Miss Industrial Phillips, Greg, Raymond, they've hosted 149 training events with over 4,450 participants. So thank you all very much for participating in this. And I'd just like to say that if you know anybody who needs assistance from the SBDC, please have them reach out to us or send us their information and we'll reach out to them. So with that being said, I will now introduce Greg Kopach, who is our business counselor on St. Croix, and he's going to take it away from here. So thank you very much. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Ted. And boy, I can attest to what Ted said. I am a counselor here. I've been here for 3 years on St. Croix. And the last COVID period has certainly challenged us. A small staff of 8 folks, but boy, we have truly reinvented the company. So we're pleased. We've made quite a contribution, and I believe Wayne and Lisa down the road can show you some figures. Again, thanks for coming out today. Today, specifically for the next hour, we are going to host the SBA, our resource partner, in the webinar to cover the SBA resources to help your business start, grow, and succeed. Okay. Again, the format will be about 40 minutes. We will allow for questions and answers. But during those 45 minutes, we hope to cover the primary tools, the resources that the SBA provides to empower the business owners. Okay. Today, we're pleased to have Wayne Huddleston, the SBA Senior Area Director, and Lisa Shamli-Aki. They've been a great assistance to us throughout COVID and before. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Wayne and they will begin the seminar. Thank you all very much.
All right. Thank you very much, Greg. Thank you, Ted. Thank you to the whole SBDC team for continuing to host us on Tuesdays to push out information on the SBA programs and answer any questions that people have regarding SBA here in the Virgin Islands. We really appreciate the platform you give us. As Ted mentioned, there is a storm coming through. We're already having some internet issues. So if we do have some, we have some backups. So I'm on St. Croix. My partner on St. Thomas is also ready to go if we have an issue over here. But if we have to, we'll reschedule. But we'll try to get through our information quickly but thoroughly and then answer any questions that you have. As Ted introduced today, we cover a topic every week with regards to SBA. and then answer your questions. But every week, of course, it's not confined to that topic. You can ask questions on anything. Today, we're just going to be providing a general overview of what SBA offers. We're not going to go into every program that SBA does because there is a lot, but we want to give you a general understanding of how we provide our programs here in the territory, the impact of those programs, and then of course answer any questions you have on how SBA may be able to assist you in either starting or growing your business. So we are a federal agency, and the primary purpose of us as an agency, our mission is just to help businesses start, grow, and succeed all across the USA, including our territories, because we know that today's small businesses will be tomorrow's larger businesses and larger employers. So we want to make sure that you have the tools and resources necessary to ease your path to growth, to continue contributing to our economy as a whole. We are a federal agency, and we report to the executive branch under President Biden right now. But we continue on just like any other department of the federal government with changes in administration. And we have a lot of different programs we cover, but they can largely be divided into 3 or 4 buckets. The first one I'm going to talk about is capital, because it's probably what we're most known for here at SBA. The term SBA loan and disaster loans are probably what most people interact with SBA on. So I'm going to touch upon those first. So when it's not a disaster, and I'll talk about disaster loans separately later on in a presentation, but in normal course of lending, SBA does not provide loans directly to borrowers. What we do at SBA is we leverage the good credit rating of the United States government to guarantee loans to lenders all across the country. So we will guarantee loans anywhere from 50 up, in some cases 100% in disaster, but typically it's anywhere between 50 and 90% to a lender. The goal is to reduce the risk for local lenders, so it makes it easier for them to write loans in a situation where it might be a little bit more risky for them. We can't make a bad loan a good loan, but we can make a loan and credit a little bit easier to obtain through local lenders if they leverage SBA's guarantee behind those. So SBA guarantee loans can be used for a lot of different things. It can be used to start a business from scratch or purchase a business if one's already existing. It can be used for revolving credit, purchase or expanding your facilities, getting inventory, purchase land or real estate, exporting products or services. It can really be used for almost anything you would need it for. There are a few exceptions. SBA loans cannot be used for illegal purposes, of course. They cannot be used for investment purposes. These are public funds, and so we need to be very careful about how those funds are put to work. So there are a few restrictions, but in most cases, if you are a business, an SBA guarantee loan could be an attractive option for you. Here in the Virgin Islands, there are 6 entities, lenders that are eligible to use SBA's guarantee. All 6 of these have used it in one form or another in the past year. Bank of St. Croix, Merchants, First Bank Popular, Oriental, and the Economic Development Bank of Virgin Islands. All of them were participants in our PPP program, which I'll touch upon a little bit later on, but all have the ability to guarantee or utilize SBA's guarantee to write a loan to a business here in the Virgin Islands and reduce their risk for it. As I mentioned earlier, an SBA guarantee does not make a bad loan a good loan. There are still important factors that come into every loan decision that borrowers must think about. Many people think, well, if the federal government is guaranteeing a loan and reducing the risk, why don't the lenders just give me the money? Well, there is still risk. And in fact, they are in a first position, SBA is in a first position lien on every loan for which a guarantee is used. And that means that if a loan goes bad, let's say SBA guaranteed 50% of the loan. As that borrower pays down the loan, they're basically paying off that guarantee first. So if we guaranteed 50% and let's say someone paid off 40% of a loan and then something bad and they stopped paying and they defaulted on their loan. Well, the bank is still on the hook for their full 50%, while the SBA is only on the hook for 10%. So there is still significant risk for a lender. So they still use basic underwriting procedures and practices to review a loan. It's just that our guarantee can reduce some of the risk in one of these. They're all going to be using what we call the 5 C's of credit. There is no set formula where every bank automatically provides a loan, but they all do look at each loan decision under a framework that we call the 5 C's. And I'll touch upon each of these. One is character, and that is basically developed by every interaction that you have with a lender. Do you show up in time for appointments? Do you have a good reputation in the community? Do you pay your bills on time? Do you say what you're going to do? All these kinds of things come into play when you're speaking with a lender. Some of it is really easy to identify. Some is just a gut feeling with the lender. But you want to make sure that you present yourself as an honorable person who says the truth and follows through on your word. The other is capacity. Do you have the ability to pay back the loan? So does the cash flow of your business show that? So typically these are provided through income statements, balance sheets, cash flow statements for your business. They want to go back at least 3 years typically to see what your cash flow is. If you're going to be taking on this extra amount of debt, can that business sustain that extra debt, make those monthly payments, and still provide a reasonable revenue for the owner to cover the bills and make sense? If that doesn't work out on paper, the lender does not want to put you in a stressful situation and not be able to pay your bills, most importantly, their loan. Their commitment, they're going to look at how much cash you're putting in. Typically, a lender is going to want to see you put in around 20% of a loan. You're not going to be able to get any real business loan without putting down at least 10% of your own. So you're going to need to document that and show that. A lender is not going to take all the risk for you and fund a business or part of your business all themselves. Collateral is an important piece. If the loan does go bad, they do want to secure a way to get that, to get recouped for the bank's losses. So that could be property, it could be a building. In some cases, it can be equipment or land or others, but they're going to want some sort of collateral to secure that loan with. And then finally, the conditions in the marketplace. They are going to look into your business plan. They're going to look at the conditions here in the territory, what makes sense. If you're starting a business right now or within the past year that caters heavily and depends heavily on the tourism industry, that may not be something that a lender would be that excited about lending towards. But a lot of that is going to be defined in your business plan, and that's another way that SBDC can help. In fact, the SBDC can help with all of these 5 C's of credit. They know the lenders, they have relationships with them, they have relationships with lenders outside the territory as well, but they understand what they're going to be looking for, and it can help you in that process before you walk into a lender on your own. As I mentioned, you're going to want to make sure you have a business plan, expense sheets, financial statements, and financial projections. This is the #1 reason why lenders say they are unable to make a positive decision on a loan. They will say the financial statements just don't make sense, or there aren't any financial statements at all, or the prospective borrower just didn't provide sufficient documentation. Again, that's where SBDC can help. You can come in, you can bring your financial statements, or you can, if you don't have any, just be honest with them and say, I don't have any, how do I even make those? And so they can help you from no matter where you are in your business cycle with regards to financial statements. They can certainly provide some assistance there. Now, SBA loans are what we are most known for, those guaranteed loans that I just talked about, but there are other ways SBA helps people access capital through private investors. There is a program called the SBIC, the Small Business Investment Companies. These are sort of like venture capital groups that SBA provides some lending to, loans to help them provide more investment out in the community. These are typically for businesses that have the prospect of a high return. However, A lot of venture capital funds are not going to invest in a restaurant or a business that is, there's nothing wrong with restaurants and regular businesses. Those are certainly an important piece of our economy, but oftentimes venture capitalists are not going to invest in those. But they're available, and they are available out there through our website. You can get more information on those if you visit sba.gov. There are also R&D awarded funds. In other words, grants to help small businesses. This is a very rare situation though. So one of the frequent questions I'm sure they get to SBDC, we get at SBA sometimes, are there grants to help me start my business or help me grow my business? And there are not. There is no federal entity I'm aware of that will provide you a grant to start your business. It just doesn't exist. However, federal entities will provide grants to certain businesses that show the ability to develop an emerging technology or to meet the needs of a specific agency or a specific need in an agency. These are through what we call the Small Business Innovative Research Grants or Small Technology Innovation Grants. You can go to sbir.gov and get more information on those. If you are building the next more efficient light bulb or doing something in the farming community or something that could be of interest to the defense industry, please look. They may provide grants to help you be able to commercialize your product and bring it to fruition. But there's not a grant out there to help you start a business. And then finally, surety bonds operate very similar to how an SBA guaranteed loan works. SBA provides a guarantee through surety bond agents, and then they provide a surety bond to the client. These are typically used in construction scenarios, especially if a business is competing for a project with the local government or the federal government. Bonding is often necessary, and you can get more information on that on our site. So another area that we help out with at SBA is federal contracting. Doing business with the federal government isn't necessarily intuitive. It does require a little bit of work because they are public funds. There are a lot of rules and guidelines that restrict the use of federal funds. However, the federal government has a goal of providing 23% of all federal dollars contracted out to small businesses. And we are operating around that goal each year. Each individual agency may adjust their goals. Some may say we'll have a higher goal, or we can only meet 10%, but they'll each have their goals to provide contracts to small businesses. Our role in that at SBA is to help small businesses understand how to compete on the playing field, how to register in what we call SAM, the System for Award Management, how to get in front of contractors, how to make yourself attractive to them, how to compete for bids. We have a lot of programs out there to assist in that. Several of them are what we call certification programs through SBA. So as part of that 23% that I mentioned earlier, there are further breakdowns for goals for federal governments to provide contracts to certain certified areas. Historically underutilized business zones, women-owned businesses, and service-disabled veteran-owned businesses are all goals many federal agencies have. So we help, we provide assistance in reaching those certifications, and we manage those certification programs, and we manage a database called the Dynamic Small Business Search, which many federal contracting officers go into when they're trying to meet their goals in these areas. So they'll look for small businesses, and then they will further filter those down to see, are there what we call hub zone certified businesses in a certain area that can compete for this contract? Are there women-owned businesses? Are there service-disabled veteran-owned businesses? And oftentimes contractors, especially when they get near the year end, if they are trying to meet their requirements or goals to provide contracts to women-owned businesses, for instance, they will go to an area, they will look at the number of women-owned small businesses in that area. And as long as there is a decent number of women-owned businesses who could possibly compete for that contract, then they will just restrict it to women-owned businesses. And if you don't have that certification, then you are unable to even compete for that contract. So making sure you have those certifications is very important if you want to do business with the federal government. And I can guarantee you, if your business is at all able to provide service to the federal government, you want to be in SAM. There are many businesses out there that have only one customer, and that is the federal government, and they make a killing doing that. So you certainly want to look into that if possible. You can get a lot more information on that at certify.sba.gov or work with our resource partners to get more information. We also offer help in international trade and exporting. While the US government is the biggest customer out there that you can have, it's still true that 96% of the consumers live outside the United States, and 2/3 of the world's purchasing power is in foreign countries. So we work to try to help small businesses reach those markets. We have, of course, representatives, not SBA representatives, but American representatives in embassies and Department of Commerce in these other countries. We can help you work through the trade requirements that might be needed in those. We also offer a high-level guarantee to banks if they are helping a business export their product to other countries. You can get a lot more information on our assistance in that area, sba.gov/exporting. Here in the Caribbean, we're in a really great area to be able to do that. We're very close to the BVIs, as you see, and then down island is not too far. So there's plenty of opportunities there to expand if you're able, and we can help you out with that. Probably the most interaction that Virgin Islanders have with SBA is through our disaster help, unfortunately, but it does play a key role. For those of you here during Maria, shortly after Maria, we had well over 100 SBA staff members come in, do a lot of outreach in the community, and provided loans to help businesses get back on their feet and get up and working, but also to people to help with their homes, to help fill the gaps from insurance. There is a lot of information we have on our site, not only to help you prepare for a disaster and think about your continuity plan and how you can mitigate the effects of disaster should it happen, but then we have a lot of resources to help after disaster as well. I'm going to talk about the loan programs and all sorts of things that are out there. Our loans can be used for all sorts of different things: real estate, personal property, which mostly covers people's homes, economic injury for loss of business and lost revenue when people aren't here, machinery and equipment that may have been damaged, inventory. And even if someone has their staff called off on active duty and they lose their staff and it has a negative impact on our business, you can get loans to help through that as well. Right now, though, the entire country is still considered a disaster for the purposes of qualifying for SBA disaster loans. One that is still active is what we call the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. It is a loan you can receive directly from SBA. You do not need to go through any lender on this. You just go straight to our website. It is to help cover expenses that otherwise would have been met had COVID-19 not occurred. So this frequently helps businesses that cater towards the tourism industry. And now without ships coming in, there are a lot of lost revenues. So this is a loan from the federal government at a very good rate that can be used to cover payroll, rent, utilities, continuation of healthcare, all sorts of other things for your business. There is a maximum amount right now of $500,000. The interest rates are great: 3.75% for businesses, 2.75% for nonprofits. You can stretch that out over 30 years. If you want to pay it early, you can. There is no problem with that. In fact, I've been encouraging all business owners that I understand if you don't want to take on debt, but if you're operating at the margins and you're unsure about how to get through, go ahead and apply for an economic injury disaster loan. If you get approved, put that in a separate account, separate from all your other operational costs, and just let it sit there. If you need it, it's there for you, and you can tap into it at any time and then pay that out over 30 years. If you don't need it, your payments are deferred for a year. And so you won't have to make any payments. And if at the end of 6 months or 9 months or a year, you decide, I know I'm not going to need this and I do not wish to carry the debt, you can just give that money straight back to SBA. There is no penalty other than the small amount of interest that had accrued during that time, which most businesses consider well worth the cost of having that extra money there, or you can pay back a portion of it. It doesn't really matter, but it's there and available. That will be available through December. You can only get one of those for this disaster. So once you receive an economic injury disaster loan, that's it. But if you haven't received it and you're still thinking about applying, your time is quickly diminishing here on how much time you have to apply. I want to give you a rundown of where we are in this disaster called COVID and the programs that we've implemented during this time. So this is just here in the Virgin Islands. So the program that got a lot of attention pretty early was called the Paycheck Protection Program, otherwise known as PPP. There were several iterations of this. There was an early one, and during that, 2,057 loans were provided for a little over $126 million. And then after that program was reauthorized, we had an additional 1,373 PPP loans that were added, bringing the total in the territory for PPP to 3,430 loans valued at over $202 million. The important thing about PPP, though, is that it is completely forgivable. It is considered almost like a grant. You receive that as a loan from the bank, and as long as you can show that you were using it for its intended purposes, which is for payroll, and it can be used for some other expenses for your business, you just apply for forgiveness for the bank, and it's completely forgiven. So that is $202 million being pushed into this economy that is just, free in a way. It just comes, it doesn't have to be paid back. There is some paperwork, of course, to that, but if you were a business that did not take advantage of that, unfortunately, that time has passed, and hopefully we're getting through COVID here before long. I know we have a little bit of a surge here going on in the territory, but hopefully that will abate, and that will be it. Right now, we're having a lot of those forgiven. I think more than half of the loans here in the territory have already been forgiven in PPP, and many more are continuing through that forgiveness process. Economic injury disaster loan, which we had already touched upon, is still ongoing as of today, or as of August 5th anyway. 1,821 have been approved here in the territory for a little over 108 million. Those are not going to be forgiven, but those are very important dollars for a lot of small business owners out there that are coming at a crucial time. We also did have what we call targeted and supplemental idle advances. These were advances for those loans that were provided to applicants. We've had 143 of those so far for a little over $1 million, and those were actually free dollars. Those were given as advances, small amounts to applicants, and then those were just free to use for those recipients. Then the two other programs we have are what we call RRF, which is the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. This was a fund targeted specifically for restaurants and food service industry workers, food trucks, those types of things. It was a very short window of time that was available. Congress allocated $28 billion. That was open to everyone in the United States. Everyone clamored in and raced to get that. And then that was quickly exhausted. Here in the territory, 28 small businesses were able to get in and get funded before that window closed. We are hoping Congress will reauthorize that fund and add more funds to it so we can continue working through the queue, because we know that there are many other businesses out there here in the Virgin Islands that have applied and are waiting in the queue. Just right now, there's just no funds. Congress did not authorize anymore. And then the final one is called the SVOG, the Shuttered Venues Operators Grant. These are grants to shuttered venue operators such as theaters, museums, those types of things for people who lost revenue. These are just grant dollars, again, that can be given, do not have to be paid back. We were able to get 2 in so far. I know there's not a lot of those operating here in the Virgin Islands, but for those 2, they have had a big impact. We've put out almost $150,000 of grants to those entities. But if you know of others that may be eligible, please send them our way. That deadline has not passed, and it is still open right now, and we can process those applications for Virgin Islanders now. Oh, and here's more information on that. So If you know of any entity in the territory, again, these are any community theater, any museum, any talent representative, promoter, those types of things are all eligible for Shuttered Venue Operators Grants. You can get more information on our website. There is a very thorough applicant user guide, and you can call the 800-659-2955 number for more information. Please check it out. This is only going to be available for a limited time, and those are going to be free funds, and then they're gone. So as you can see, it's a pretty significant amount. We had 2 entities, and they split up nearly $150,000. There is more funds out there to take advantage of. So please, please take a look if you think you might or know someone who might be able to be eligible.
Wayne, I'm going to jump in real quick if you don't mind.
Sure.
The SBDC is going to be partnering with SCORE and the Puerto Rico SBDC to host a webinar on the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant later this month. So for more information on that, you can definitely contact the SBDC or, of course, through social media, our website, find out more when that particular training is going to come up. So we're excited to partner with SCORE, which I see on your slide now, to help present some more information on that topic.
Perfect. All right. Good timing. Thank you, Ted. And that leads great into the last thing here. So our other big area that we have at SBA is our technical support and resource partners. We recognize that at the end of the day, we're federal government employees. We're bureaucrats in many ways. We're not the best place to give advice for businesses, but we do have a lot of resources and we fund technical service providers. There are multiple types, but the 3 that are the most active here in the Virgin Islands are listed right here. Of course, SBDC. Everyone on this seminar knows the SBDC because you had to go through here to register. They offer a lot of training like this, but the most important thing is it's one-on-one business consulting that they provide. They have really well-trained business advisors that their full-time job is to help businesses start and grow and take their business to the next level, find those loans, visit their business plan, get a lot of good advice, make those connections in the community they need to grow and be successful. It's free of charge. You can schedule an appointment. The information is here through a phone number or a email, or visit the website. SBC has representatives on St. Thomas, on St. Croix, and they also visit St. John and Water Island as well. They're all over the territory. Another entity is called SCORE. SCORE is similar to SBDC in that they do provide some advice and mentorship, but it's more of coaching. They are volunteer mentors who, many of whom have started successful businesses themselves and now give back to their community to provide some coaching and advice and support for others who are starting to grow their business or start their business. They also offer a lot of great online workshops and webinars and resources. You can visit score.org, download templates for business plans or financial statements, and just immediately request to be matched up with a mentor. The SCORE chapter here in the Virgin Islands is connected and is a part of the SCORE chapter in Florida in Broward County, which is an outstanding chapter with a lot of great resources. Really cool advantage that they have up there is they have a lot of mentors and coaches up there, more than what the Virgin Islands by themselves could have. So if you want to get a perspective from others in Florida as well, you can get that. Another great resource. And then finally, the Veterans Business Outreach Center is geared specifically towards entrepreneurs who are veterans or their family members. The one that serves this area is out of New York. You can visit their website, vbocregion2.com, but they have a representative in Puerto Rico named Juan, and he comes down here occasionally. With COVID, it's not as frequently, but he's certainly available to people virtually. He recently did I think a webinar just 2 weeks ago on all their resources and how they can help veteran-owned businesses. So please take advantage of at least one, if not all 3 of these, if you're able to. Then finally, this is our information here in the territory. This is mine. My cell phone number is there. The best way to contact me, however, is through email. Oftentimes the cell phone, I've seen sometimes a voicemail will sit there for 2 or 3 days before it pops up on my phone. But if you shoot me an email, it makes it a lot easier. I can route you to the right person if I can't answer your question. And it makes a written record of me being able to help. But you can also follow us on Twitter, sign up for our regular newsletters. There's a lot of great information we're constantly putting out throughout the year. Lisa is also here. Lisa is on St. Thomas. I'm on St. Croix. Lisa can be reached at that cell phone number below and also at her email as well. She's a great partner here. Between the two of us, we should be able to answer any question you have regarding SBA. But you don't have to wait. You can ask any questions you may have right now. We'll open it up to anyone to ask any questions you have about anything in regards to SBA.
So I would encourage participants to either A, ask a question through the chat, or B, raise your hand, or simply just unmute yourself and ask the question. Right now is the time that we have subject matter experts. Obviously, having Wayne and Lisa here in the territory has been fantastic for us. So now's your chance to ask some questions.
Good afternoon, Wayne. This is Greg. I wonder if you could speak a little bit. We've got many clients who are either engaged or getting ready to engage in their PPP forgiveness. And we've heard there may be some changes. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Well, there's no changes. Well, I mean, there's some change. The parameters of forgiveness are the same. What you do, your clients, if they receive a loan from a local bank, they should go to that bank. You always should go through your lender to seek your forgiveness. And all reports so far that the lenders are doing a pretty good job here locally of processing those forgiveness applications. Recently, the only change that we had is SBA decided to assist in that process by providing our own portal where borrowers can initiate their forgiveness application. So borrowers can go to SBA, initiate their forgiveness application if the lender allows it. So we asked every lender who processed a PPP loan across the country. We offered this tool, we showed them this tool, and basically what we do is we collect the documents for them. They're still in the process of reviewing and forgiving these loans, but we try to make the process a little bit easier. But they have to opt in for this. If they don't opt in, then their borrowers cannot use SBA's tool to get the documents. So far, the 5 large lenders here in the territory have not opted in. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Many of them, their internal process is already working and it's very smoothly, and they're processing all the applications through. And maybe their process is even easier than SBA's, I don't know. But they're doing a good job. But I believe there may be one that may opt in soon to allow their borrowers to start their application through SBA. If you did not get a loan through SBA and you got it through one of the online lenders, many of the online lenders out there have already opted in. So I believe there are around 100 or so applicants here in the territory who now are eligible to start their forgiveness process through SBA. But for everyone else, they should go through the lender.
Okay, thank you.
If you also have any questions about SBDC, by all means, feel free to ask here as well. But we'll just hold this open for another minute or two. If you don't have any questions, Lisa and Wayne, their email is in the chat. So feel free to email them as well. I'm going to share the SBDC contact information so that if you want to reach out to SBDC, you'll have our contact information as well. Give me a second here. So this is the information for the SBDC. You can reach us on St. Thomas, St. John, or on St. Croix. Visit us online. Of course, our website. Facebook, YouTube. If you've missed any previous webinars from SBA or the Veterans Business Outreach Center, EDA, we have those on our YouTube page as well. You can find us on Twitter and also on Startup Space. We have some exciting news coming up this fall, so stay tuned and follow us and stay up to date on what we have going on in the territory and how we can continue to support economic growth from within. So any other questions for Wayne or Lisa or SBDC? Okay. I don't see any. So with that being said, thank you, Wayne. Lisa, as always. Upcoming, we have a webinar next Tuesday as well, 10 a.m. with SBA. They're going to go over some different SBA products as well. In the meantime, if you have any questions between now and then, once again, reach out to them directly or reach out to SBDC. And there will be a copy of the PowerPoint posted in the chat here shortly. Or you can email us and get a copy of this particular PowerPoint. But once again, we're going to post this on our YouTube channel. So thank you all very much, Wayne, Lisa, Greg, for everything that you're doing. And we look forward to helping our territory. So.
All right, thank you.